You got any bets you're keying on today? Should we do like a bet week? Since now sports game.
No. We are live, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's I'll talk about that in a second. But before we start going, this is episode 128 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. We're back. Sorry about the delay lately. It's been a rough time trying to get together. Both of us, our schedules just have not really been syncing up properly lately. But we're here now, and hopefully we can get back to regularity sometime soon. Anyway, as y'all know, the Browns are not going to be part of this year's playoffs, but we're going to find something to talk about Browns-wise. We always do. The Bengals, on the other hand, well, they're looking to finish the way they're looking to finish what they started last year, right? They got so close and just couldn't finish it off. They arguably got a better team this year, but we'll see what happens. Thomas got some stuff to say about that in a little bit. Finally, Steelers came so close to making the postseason. But they didn't. Because why, Thomas?
Yeah. Jets, Jets.
Boy, Joe Flacco. That's right. Joe Flacco screws the Steelers once again. Let's go.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
So real quick, before we just jump into it, we got Joe from the Square Table Degenerates podcast, in the chat.
Oh, what's up, Joe?
I'm going to bring up a couple comments he made because I want to address this. So the Browns are not going to be part of next year's playoffs next year either, not with Stefanski there, 6-11 for 2023. Man, you got to love – Thomas was just talking about this before we started. You got to love the optimism of Browns fans.
Okay. Shout out to you, Joe. Love you. I'm teetering off the Stefanski train, Cal. You know how you always go back and forth, and we're always like big on Kevin Stefanski. I like how this is how we start the show. I am teetering off. I am holding out suspicion because there's no right answers here, and we're sick of this whole constant back and forth with the Browns. But there are things that were missed by Kevin Stefanski this year. We had the talent to go to the playoffs this year. And I think that's what bothers a lot of people. If they didn't have the talent to do what they did and they went 7-10, people would be like, all right, well, they have a young team, they went 7-10. No, the reason why people are disappointed with 7-10 is because we had the talent to go to the playoffs this year. Like, it would have been a lot better if we started off like if Jacoby looked just horrible and we just started off like 3-8 going to Deshaun Watson, whatever. No, we lost not because of bad quarterback play. Our quarterback was fine all year. Jacoby was fine. And that's what scares me, is that maybe we have the quarterback, but we don't have everything else. Because if Jacoby's Brissett looked that good and we couldn't capitalize against those teams, Atlanta, the Jets, the Jets Jets, we could have capitalized on that and we couldn't beat those teams, then we have to question Kevin Stefanski. We just have to. We have to question that man and maybe not fire him, but the jury's still out on him. I'm not definitive with him. That's why I am rooting for Jimmy Haslam sucks. I'm not going to, but that's why I want the Browns to hire Brian Flores. I'm a Brian Flores fan.
Brian Flores is a trash coach, guys. Like he got fired from the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins are a trash organization. They got their own issues, but he got fired for a reason. Look, Okay, so here's my thing about Kevin Stefanski. If y'all want to fire Kevin Stefanski, fire Kevin Stefanski, whatever. I'm telling you, it would be a bad move. And I understand, like, y'all are like, oh, it was a disappointing season and whatever. But, like, you know, like 20 – what was it, 2020? That was the season he took y'all to the playoffs and you beat the Steelers, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kevin Stefanski's already done more for you as a head coach than any other head coach y'all have had. The only constant with the Browns, and it's not even the constant with the Browns because I know they changed at one point, but it's like the only thing that's close to a constant with the Browns is the ownership. I kind of had a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a panic attack, but I definitely was very upset when the Browns hired Kevin Stefanski because I was like, oh fuck, that's a really good hire for them. Like I really like believed and still believe that Kevin Stefanski is the right coach for them. And the reason I say that is because he's like a very like he's like a straightforward type of person. He's a calming presence. Like y'all wanted Mike McCarthy at one point. I remember that. Y'all hired Freddie Kitchens, all these crazy motherfuckers that you guys hire. Like, and all you're doing is just you're creating this constant situation in the Browns locker room. And Joe said, this is rock bottom. Is it really rock bottom? Y'all went 0-16. That was rock bottom. Like
we did go 7. We are a franchise quarterback. Like, all arguments aside, like we can argue about how good he's going to be, but like this is the best quarterback we had since a very long time. Me and you both could agree with that, right, Kyle?
What, Deshaun Watson? Yeah.
Yeah. So like we have our quarterback, we have our guy. Like that's a whole other discussion. I was really hoping we'd start with the Bengals. Kyle, I was really hoping we would start with the Bengals but we're on the topic. We might as well talk about it. Yes, you're right. I do not think we should fire Kevin yet. I think that we should give him one more year. But if he starts off bad, I want a defensive coordinator that kind of holds his feet to the fire. The Cavs do it all the time. The Cavs, anytime they have a coach or they have either when they have a coach they hire or when they have a coach they're not sure about, they always have his replacement ready. If not his replacement, but somebody who is very experienced and ready to go. For example, the Cavs had David Blatt as head coach. And right behind David Blatt, who was David Blatt's assistant, they had the highest paid assistant in the league, Ty Lue. Because they knew if this David Blatt guy didn't work out, they have Ty Lue right there, and they can just go like, hey, Ty Lue, man, look, this David Blatt guy sucks. So I need you to coach this team. We're not going to win a championship with this guy. And they fired David Blatt. The Cavs had the 4th best record in the NBA when they fired their coach. They had the 4th best record in the NBA when they fired their coach because they knew that he wasn't it. They knew that he wasn't the person that would get them to what they needed to do. Ty Lue was the perfect man of the job because Ty Lue helped us come back from the 3-1 lead. It's the same thing with the NFL. If you believe that Kevin Stefanski is the best guy possible for 2023, then go for it. But if you're hiring a defensive coordinator and you see a defensive coordinator that you think, this guy could be a great interim coach if we have to pull the trigger on Kevin Stefanski and then maybe restart and maybe we have our guy right here if this guy don't work out. That's why I'm fascinated with Brian Flores because I think that if we have a bad start and if something goes wrong and we need to replace Kevin Stefanski, I think Brian Flores would be a good transition.
I think Brian Flores would just like drive the locker room even further down than it already is. I think that's his biggest issue, right? Is like Brian Flores has like no ability to create chemistry. And that's what the Browns need. That's what the Browns need. The Browns desperately need chemistry. And I understand, by the way, like all y'all, if y'all are saying you don't like the direction the team has gone, which is kind of what Joe has been kind of saying, you don't like the direction the team has gone compared to where they should have been. And you put a lot of that on Kevin Stefanski. I get that. I get that. Like maybe you're disappointed in where Kevin Stefanski has gone this season. At the same time, I don't think you fire a guy over one bad season, right? But you know what? You can make the argument if you think you got the guy, then go with it. But at the same time, do you think you got the guy? I mean, I know you were just saying Brian Flores. I'm telling you, Brian Flores would probably just make things things would probably. I don't know if they would get worse, but I don't think they would. I don't think they would get better, and I think they would probably get more chaotic. You know, you go back to the Browns. You go back to the Browns being more like a circus act. You know.
Well, okay, so he's interviewing for the defensive coordinator position. So let's that thought of replacing Kevin Stefanski with defensive coordinator, that's a pipe dream. Let's be realistic. Kevin Stefanski gonna be our coach next year. So with that said, how do we put Kevin Stefanski in the best situation? Maybe Kevin Stefanski just got to grow. He's still a young coach. I'm still holding out hope that he can still grow. I still think that he's a great offensive mind. I think that he gets in his way sometimes, though. But you still have Alexander Pope on that staff. So maybe comes next year with a different approach. You got a full season with Deshaun Watson. You're playing the NFC West next year, which doesn't really look that great. So that's coming in your favor. You have a lot going your way here. So if I'm the Browns, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, and what I should do if I'm the Browns is I need to get the best defensive coordinator that I think that could bring in the locker room, that could establish leadership, that can get people right in the back on the proper track. That's why I like Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, because I think that he'd be a very solid defensive coordinator for the talent that's on this team. This team had 3 All-Pros. This team
okay, so as a defensive coordinator, I'm sure I think if Brian Flores has somebody on top of him who's like managing his ego, then I mean, sure, like that's why Brian Flores I think worked out, with New England, right? But I think he flamed out in Miami because he had too much power, personally.
Yeah, he did flame. I mean, the way it ended was kind of bad. Wait, hold on. Yeah.
Hey, your audio keeps cutting out.
My headphones.
Give it a second. Somebody called me. I hate it when that happens.
Oh, that's probably what it was then.
Yeah, no, somebody called me. I had to reconnect my headphones. My headphones, like, they disconnect after when somebody calls me. It's ridiculous. So all right, so I'm back at it. I think Brian Flores would be a great defensive coordinator. I didn't hear what you said about him.
I was just saying I think Brian Flores would be might be a good I wouldn't want him to be the head coach, right? But like Brian Flores, I think would be a good defensive coordinator as long as you have somebody on top of him checking his ego, right? Because I think that's the biggest problem. Hey, what's going on, Jim?
Anthony Shorts. Not Anthony Shorts. Who's the other guy they interviewed? Joe, do you remember who the other guy they interviewed for the defensive coordinator position? Joe from Square Generate.
I think Anthony Schwartz was a player on the Browns.
I know.
For defensive coordinator.
I know. Shit, I'm trying to remember his name. Let's see. Let me look up real quick. Here we go. Brian Flores, Jamar Mayo, Jim Schwartz, and Shane Desai.
Jim Campbell. According to Joe, it's Jim Campbell.
Jim Campbell. Okay, so Brian Flores. Well, what I'm looking at right now is Brian Flores, Jamar Mayo, Jim Schwartz, and Sean Desai. I believe Brian Flores and Jim Schwartz already been interviewed.
Sean Desai would be good.
You know what? Okay, look, Kyle. A lot of people want either Anthony Schwartz or Jim Schwartz or Brian Flores in the city. A lot of people in the city is just saying get one of those two people. That's what a lot of people are at. Sean Desai scares a lot of people in the city.
Why?
Because a lot of people see Sean Desai as Kevin Stefanski's friend, and that scares a lot of people because they're just having memories of the whole Freddie Kitchens thing.
I mean, yeah, but that's not like once again, Kevin Stefanski's a completely different person than like Freddie Kitchens. Like people are scared of like Freddie Kitchens happening again because Freddie Kitchens was just like you know,
Fast forward,
it was a personality thing. It was a personality thing. The Browns tried to build this swagger team, and they tried to get a swagger coach, but they didn't put any checks in place to make sure that shit didn't get out of control. Kevin Stefanski is the control. He's a level-headed human being who, you know, has the ability to mitigate situations. And that's why I say he's perfect for the Browns, because, like, the fact of the matter is, like, you know, the Browns have this problem of getting too like their swings are way too like high and low, right? Like there's a lot of low. But the point is with Kevin Stefanski is he's like, you know, a good like, you know, like middling kind of thing. I think Kevin Stefanski, you bring in like Sean Desai to be a defensive coordinator, or Brian Flores. I think honestly either one would be solid. But you keep Kevin Stefanski in place, and I think that you know, I think the Browns have a much better season next year. But also, don't forget, and we've talked about this on the show before, you know, Deshaun Watson is going to not be as rusty next year. He's going to have all this warm-up time. And he was kind of looking a little bit better at the end of the season. I think personally, I don't think that getting a new head coach is going to give you a better season next year. So I think you give Kevin Stefanski the extra year. Just give him one more year. And if it sucks next year, then I guess it depends on how badly it sucks next year, but like I still don't think like firing him just because the Browns, all they do is just fire coaches and recycle the whole thing like constantly.
Yeah, that's
At some point you got to pick a lane.
We do.
At some point you got to pick a lane. Like you got to develop people eventually. But
yeah, we do.
I also understand the frustration, but I mean, my point is like at least give Kevin Stefanski next year. Bring in, you know, a much better defensive coordinator. Like I said, I think Sean Desai would be incredible, but you know, Brian Flores would be a really good option too. Like, yeah, I don't want him to be the head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, sure, why not?
I mean, nothing could be worse than what we had. Wait, hold on. You know, wait, hold up. Before I say that, I always say that. I always say that. Nothing could be worse than Hugh Jackson, head coach. What could be worse than 0-16?
Jim does not believe in you, Thomas. Honestly, I don't really know. Jim runs his own show, like his own overall NFL show. I don't really know what team he's a fan of, but he doesn't think the Browns are going to be good next year either. And I don't know. But I think if you fire Kevin Stefanski, you're definitely not going to have a good year next year. Like
I think the Browns are going to be. I think the Browns are going to be good next year, regardless.
I don't. If they fire Kevin Stefanski, I think they're going. I think.
No, they're not firing. They're not firing Kevin Stefanski. They're not firing Kevin Stefanski this offseason. That's not happening. Okay.
I know. I'm saying if they did.
I think even with Kevin Stefanski, I think we're making the playoffs this year. I just do. My question is, will Kevin Stefanski be a head coach that can win a Super Bowl? That's my question.
Yes, I just don't think you have the roster to win a Super Bowl, especially with Clowney leaving, and possibly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could go out and sign free agents.
Well, yeah, but I mean, are you going to replace somebody like Clowney who you can actually afford?
So we're talking about next year for the Browns. So what would the Browns offense look like next year? So Donovan Peoples-Jones looks solid. Amari Cooper looks solid. So I'm not – the offense I think will be efficient. Even obviously you want to add a deep threat to the offense. A lot of people are yelling DeAndre Hawkins. I actually want Deontay Johnson out of Pittsburgh. That's who I really want to see. That's what I really want to see the Browns go at Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I think that'd be a really good one because I don't think Pittsburgh gonna keep all the receivers. I think Deontay Johnson would be somebody that could definitely go get. So, this is the hard part. We're going through a bad season like this. You get comments like this. You get everybody's negative. There's so obviously the receivers are fine. I will go get Deontay Johnson. I think that would be somebody I want to add to my receiver corps. So then that blows the top off on the offense. And then you have David Njoku, and then you have Nick Chubb, and you let Kareem Hunt walk and let Drew Forbes are third string running back come in. He's been great. I'm really excited to see what he can do behind Chubb. I think he's going to be a fantastic running back for us. And it seems like Kareem Hunt lost a step anyway. I think everybody, the team is very high on that guy, and that's why they're like, hey, go ahead, Kareem Hunt, you believe, because we got a really nice running back. So they're going to still have the two-headed monster at running back. So I think that offensively, the Browns are going to be fine next year. I think the Browns are going to be fantastic next year for offensive. I'm not worried about their offense. My concern is our defense. I think that we have a good secondary. I think our secondary is fine. I would get rid of John Johnson because he's just bullshitting his way out the door anyway. He's a toxic. I would get rid of him. I would replenish safeties, but I think our safeties are fine. But our front line, with the exception of Myles Garrett, is not good at all.
I feel that. I think that's actually a good transition into the next topic. And actually, Joe brings up a good point too. So I understand where you guys are at, your fan base not feeling like you have a lot of hope in fighting and everything like that. I like, for the majority of my life, that's what being a Bengals fan has been like, right? Like everybody's like, oh, next year's just going to suck. It's not going to matter, et cetera, et cetera. Thomas, you're talking about, the defense and all the issues going on with that and everything like that. And so, we just for the sake of time, we need to go ahead and transition into talking about the Bengals. Thomas, I know you have something that you want to say about the Bengals, but before we get into that, I have a topic I want to talk about. So Joe Woods theoretically going to get fired, and Matt Minnick, I tagged you. You know what I'm talking about, Thomas, because I tagged you in it. But Matt Minnick talking about. He's another Bengals podcaster, and he brought up a good point. Like, if Joe Woods gets fired in Cleveland, maybe a decent fit in maybe a decent fit in Cincinnati. And the reason I say that is not because I think Joe Woods, I think Matt Minnick might think he's, little more underrated than he really is as a defensive coordinator. I don't necessarily want the Bengals to bring in Joe Woods as a defensive coordinator. However, I think Joe Woods would be a fantastic secondary coach. And that's honestly like the biggest weakness of our team right now, especially as we might be transitioning next year without Jesse Bates. I think bringing in somebody like Joe Woods to cover the secondary, especially because like Lou Anarumo is going to be on his way out. Most likely because he's probably going to get like a head coaching job somewhere, especially if what I think is going to happen, we make it to or win the Super Bowl, then Lou Anarumo is going to get a job somewhere, which means that, the staff is probably going to get turned over. And I think bringing in Joe Woods to coach the secondary would actually be a really good move for the Bengals. But I also really don't want him to be the defensive coordinator. That would be probably a terrible idea.
I think Joe Woods, the one thing that he did well was have the secondary in check. But then I say that, and all I see is blown assignment after blown assignment, people finger pointing at each other. Man, that was some of the worst defense I ever seen. Like, that man is a horrible defensive coordinator. But he might be a good DB coach for y'all.
I think if we have room, I wouldn't necessarily I think he would be an upgrade over what we have, but I also don't think what we have is so terrible that I would want them to get fired and bring in Joe Woods on a hunch that he might be better. But like I said, if what I think happens and the defensive staff gets overturned, then I think Joe Woods, bringing him in to kind of sort of rescue his career, because if he gets fired from Cleveland, he's nobody's picking him up as a defensive coordinator. But I think maybe we could pick him up as a secondary coach and kind of revive his career that way. But anyway, yeah, you had a point you wanted to make about the Bengals. That was that was why you were let's go ahead and do an episode. So go for it.
All right. So I put together a list. It's the 5 reasons why I believe the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win a Super Bowl. I really wanted to do this a while ago, and I keep on. And these Bengals fans, they keep on just getting in my ear on Twitter, like shut up, y'all. Give me a second.
We're passionate.
Okay. First thing I want to talk about. The first thing I want to get on is the Bengals defense. Number 5, Bengals defense. For me, the Bengals defense has been fantastic this year. You can't ignore what you've been seeing out of players like Jesse Bates. You can't ignore what you've been seeing from the timely stops. And the Bengals defense, they kind of have a swagger to them because the Bengals defense know that all they have to do is just get one stop and give your boy Joe Burrow a chance, which would be another point later. And they just been coming up in the clutch. You cannot be mad about what you've been seeing on defense. Logan Wilson, Gramley Pitts. I suck at saying these names.
Who?
Marquise Bartley. You just love what you're seeing from this defense. So number 5 is the Bengals defense. The Bengals got a very solid defense.
Okay, obviously I know who Logan Wilson is, but who are those other 2 guys?
I have no idea. I'm just reading random players off the depth chart right now.
Bradley Pitts is not a human. Neither of those second 2 players are on the Bengals. Marquise Bradley. Is Marquise with a K? We don't have a player named Marquise Bradley.
I'm literally looking at the defensive depth chart right now. Let's see. Let me make sure I read this right.
Like the official Bengals depth chart?
Yeah, the linebacker Marquise Bradley back up to Logan Wilson.
Marcus Bailey. Yeah, no, he's
shit.
A solid depth player for sure. He's a solid depth player for sure. But I wouldn't my personal hope is that we don't see Marcus Bailey on the field.
Yeah. Okay, look.
Jermaine Pratt needs to Jermaine Pratt might win us a Super Bowl with how well he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, but shout outs to Sam Hubbard, BJ Hill, Troy Henderson. Shout out to those guys. Anyway, going back. Yeah. Reason number 4, your kicker. I think that Evan McPherson is a fearful kicker. I think that he's very confident. He's playing very well. Reason number 3 is your running backs. We've been talking back and forth about whether or not Joe Mixon really came on a little better at the end of the year, but you also have your backup running back doing well this year. So you have a really good tandem back there in the running back room. You have 2 running backs that can make plays if you need them to make plays, even though your offense isn't really predicated on that. But it's good to just have that threat because having some kind of running threat at all is the best thing to help illusion. Reason number 2, the Bengals been there before. They've been to the Super Bowl before. They tasted it, and they have the mental awareness that they can win the AFC because they did it before. That helps. That helps a lot. I know I always say it's hard to get back, but it's harder to win the Super Bowl with no playoff experience at all. Last year, they did all of that with no playoff experience. But reason number 1, and the main reason why I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl is because of one and one other person, and that's with the Square Generous Square Generous, Joe from Square Generous podcast just said Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is a connection that was sent to y'all from God himself, because those 2, when they connect, it is like fireworks, and nobody in the NFL have a combination like those 2. Nobody in the NFL have a combination like those 2. I don't see how anybody is going to beat this team in the playoffs. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're winning like crazy. Unless the league is rigged to help the Bills get it, because, we're not going to talk about that. That's a very sad, hard situation. But,
yeah, but he's doing better. He's recovering. He's actually been sent home from the hospital now. So
that's really good. That's good. That's number 3. My whole point is, I think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. I think the team that wins the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. But I think the AFC is eon better than NFC. And the Bengals are going to win the AFC. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback. Second best quarterback in the NFL.
That's the best. He's the best, but you're allowed.
But I just think you guys just got more weapons than the Chiefs right now. You guys have proven to beat the Chiefs. So
they got Travis Kelce. They got Travis Kelce, and they got plenty of weapons. Yeah, I wouldn't.
They do.
I wouldn't sleep on. Like, yeah, they don't have Jamar Chase, but again, they have Travis Kelce. Like, I mean, Hayden Hurst is good, but he's not Travis Kelce good.
Yeah, but but then after Jamar Chase, I got this guy named T. Higgins, and T. Higgins is just so damn smooth with it.
They picked up Kadarius Toney out of nowhere.
Like T. Higgins is just so damn smooth. That's what gets me is that Joe Burrow, he don't just have Jamar Chase. He has T. Higgins. He just go everybody going oh, we got to stop Jamar Chase. We got to stop this Jamar Chase guy. Put our best corner in our safety on the Jamar Chase guy. And T. Higgins is chilling. What up, y'all?
I've got 3 points I need to make. I'm gonna respond to what you just said. I'm going to respond to your list, and then I'm going to respond to this comment that I have highlighted from Joe right here.
Okay.
So first, to respond to your comment just now, you, of all people, and everybody in your fan base should know that Joe Burrow doesn't need elite weapons to still look better than Patrick Mahomes. See him making Trenton Irwin look like a god against you guys, and Mitch Wilcox. Come on. He doesn't need Jamar. Having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is great, and that's amazing. But apparently, he doesn't even need them. Joe Burrow said, and it got a lot of heat, and probably fairly was kind of a cocky thing to say, but it was probably true. He said the Super Bowl window is my whole career, and that's true. We're gonna pay this man more money than anybody's ever been paid at the quarterback position, and we're gonna have to start scrounging the cheap bin for free agents and stuff like that to put a roster together, and it's not gonna matter because Joe Burrow is, you said it yourself, Joe Burrow is the LeBron James of football.
Yeah, unfortunately he didn't come to Cleveland though. Why didn't we get Joe? One draft away.
Y'all were too good.
One draft away. Damn it, Joe. Why did you? Man, look, in another universe, Urban Meyer starts Joe Burrow instead of JT Barrett. Joe Burrow is a beast at Ohio State. He goes number 1 overall. He gets drafted either a year or 2 years earlier. And he's a Brown.
Yeah, that's one of a million different universes because if you'll recall, Joe Burrow's first year at LSU wasn't people thought he was going to go undrafted before his final year at LSU. So I think he needed that push to really turn into the player he is. If he had started at OSU, I don't think he would have developed into the guy that he is today. I think he needed that push. He needed something he needed his mind break. And you saw that in his junior year or his second to last year at LSU. You saw he got smacked. And there's that iconic photo of him laying on the turf and I forget what team, but some guy from another team just standing over him barking at him. And I think that was the turning point for Joe Burrow, okay, maybe going to be a decent NFL quarterback one day, Joe Burrow, to this is Joe Burrow, the fucking legend who has a chance to be the next GOAT.
I think it is that I think that Urban Meyer stunts the growth of NFL-style quarterbacks. And I think Joe Burrow, when he was a kid, when he was in high school, because I watched him in high school, he was flinging out ball in high school. True. But he just knew Joe Burrow, the quarterback. Joe Burrow is a freaking quarterback. Urban Meyer, I hate watching Urban Meyer's offenses in college. I'm this just sucks to watch. JT Barrett should not be a quarterback on any level. This man can't throw the ball 5 feet in the wind. Why is this guy a quarterback? This guy sucks. You telling me you can't find somebody that can throw the ball? Yeah, but he runs so well. I'm yeah, but he can't throw. What are you talking about? He leads Ohio State in completion. Of course he does. Because Ohio State, what they do is they get these little speedy receivers, and they have them doing these little curl routes and these little slants. And hey, JT Barrett, just hit that very fast person on his very fast slant 5 yards up the field. My grandma could do that. Give my grandma the best receivers in the league and tell her to just throw it as fast as you can. My grandma got an arm for like 10 yards. My grandma got an arm for 10 yards. And every single time she says, just throw it as fast as you can. And then you got the best receivers ever. Then you get this guy named Ezekiel Elliott behind you. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. You don't have to look. Just throw it. Just catch it and throw it.
All right. So to respond to your list, I have two reasons, and they're the only two reasons I need that Joe Burrow is going to win, or that the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. And one of them is the same as one of the numbers you had on your list. That's Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow, it's because of Joe Burrow. You know, like. Yeah. I mean, like, even if we don't win the Super Bowl this year, we're going to win, like, at least one, if not multiple, in Joe Burrow's career. He's right. The Super Bowl window is his whole career. But I think we're going to win it this year because Joe Burrow, in my opinion, has been, you know, I don't think he's the MVP. I thought it at certain points this year, but, like, you know, the way he kind of played down the stretch and just kind of, like, looking at the season as a whole, I think I maybe he's not the MVP. I don't think it's Patrick Mahomes either. I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP this year. Because, I mean, you saw what happened to the Eagles without Jalen Hurts. So I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP, and I think Joe Burrow could have been, but he kind of like he kind of didn't play quite as amazing down the stretch. Bengals kept winning, but it was a lot to do with that defense, right? But I think Joe Burrow is incredible. I think he's gonna find another gear in the playoffs like he did last year. And that wasn't even to say like the offense was amazing in the playoffs last year. At certain times it was, but at other times it wasn't. But like at the same time, Joe Burrow just found that extra gear when it mattered. And I think he's gonna do that again. And he's a magician, you know. So that's one of my reasons. The other reason why I think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl this year is because as I said, like we came on this podcast immediately after the Super Bowl happened, Thomas. And I told you, I said, if the Bengals fix that offensive line, they will win the Super Bowl. And you know what they did, Thomas? They went out and they fixed the offensive line. And then you know what happened,
Thomas? They won the Super Bowl?
Do what?
They win the Super Bowl?
I think they will.
Okay.
And then you know what else happened, Thomas? Two of the three people that we signed to fix the offensive line over the last couple of weeks are now potentially out for the season. Lyle Collins is definitely out for the season, and Alex Kappa just got hurt against the Ravens. There's some optimism that he could maybe come back for like the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, but he's definitely not playing against the Ravens, and it'd be a shock if he played in the divisional round. But importantly, Hakeem Adeniji, who was a big part of the reason why the Bengals like lost the Super Bowl last year, been playing a lot better this year in relief of Lyle Collins. And I think a big part of the reason for that is because the offensive line as a whole is just so much better. You know, Cordell Volson got named to the All-Rookie team this year for a good reason, because he's been great as the Bengals' stability point at the left guard position. The right guard position, Alex Kappa has been great. Without him, that really sucks. But, you know, importantly, and hopefully this will help Hakeem Adeniji to continue to perform well because he's got a lot of help around him. The guy that they're replacing Alex Kappa with is Max Sharping. And okay. I don't know if you know who he is, Thomas, but he was a starter with the Texans for a few years. And Texans, terrible, right? But he was a starter, and he earned a job, and he was doing pretty good for them, and blocking for Deshaun Watson and all that. And he was because of the way he performed, he was owed a pretty significant performance bonus on his contract. And the Texans were like, I don't want to pay that. You know what? We're so bad. We can probably get away with like cutting this guy and then picking him up on waivers once like the NFL just doesn't realize what happened. And you know what happened, Thomas? The Bengals, who were awarded 3 waiver picks earlier this year, were like, no, I see what you did. So they picked up Max Sharping. He hasn't played all year or anything like that, but he's going to be coming in for Alex Kappa. And when Alex Kappa went out against the Ravens, Max Sharping played really well. We've been using him this year in like when they put out like a 6th offensive lineman to do a particular package or stuff, usually Max Sharping has been the guy. Like if it's not Hakeem Adeniji, it's been Max Sharping, and he's been really good in those situations. Came in relief of Alex Kappa, did really well, right? So even the depth is better than the offensive line we were starting last year. So that's my other reason. I only need 2 reasons. That's my other reason. I said if the Bengals fix the offensive line, they will win the Super Bowl. And damn it.
Just say that.
Damn it. Did they fix the offensive line? They overhauled that motherfucker. And they fixed it.
The reason why that's such a poignant point about the offensive line is because the last drive of the Super Bowl, it really looked like Joe Burrow was going to drive the team down the field. And what kept on happening, if Joe Burrow just had like a half or eon more second to throw the ball, he might have been able to give you a score. Every single time he dropped back, he would get Aaron Donald. Boom! Just give me one, like he was getting ready to throw. It was like, give him one more second. Just one more second.
And Jamar Chase had cooked Jalen Ramsey for breakfast. Like, people would like Jalen Ramsey. If Joe Burrow had an extra second in the Super Bowl, Jalen Ramsey would be a meme right now. Jalen Ramsey would be a joke. He wouldn't have a job. Like, nobody would hire that guy anymore because of like he'd have to like move on to the next phase of his career. That's how badly Jamar Chase cooked him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Aaron Donald cleaned up his mistake.
Yeah.
The last point I wanted to make, though, before we head on to the prediction segment.
I
wanted to catch up with Joe's comments here. He said, will Mike Brown, known cheapo, pay market for Chase and Burrow? And you could bet your ass he will, Joe, because like Mike Brown, known cheapo. First of all, he hasn't been a known cheapo lately. Second of all, Mike Brown, typically not a cheapo when it comes to re-signing Bengals players. That's kind of how he's gotten that money.
He said Mike Brown, known cheapo. He called him a known cheapo.
But that's the thing. He has this reputation for being cheap. And it's really not so much that. It's just he values bringing Bengals players back more than he values like going out and getting free agents. So, and especially with quarterbacks, Mike Brown has always shelled out for quarterbacks, except for Boomer Esiason. But that was a different situation. He was angry and he wanted to be traded and all that. But Mike Brown has always shelled out for quarterbacks. He's always broken the checkbook out for quarterbacks. So yes, he will pay Joe Burrow. And will he pay Jamar Chase? I'm sure he'll pay Jamar Chase too. The problem is he's probably going to get like, that cheapo moniker again because the Bengals won't have any money left after they pay Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Jermaine Pratt and like all these guys who I'm not even talking about Jesse Bates because I think it's going to be I think they're going to have to choose between Jesse Bates and Jermaine Pratt. And I think Jermaine Pratt's going to get it because he's more consistently good than Jesse Bates.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like the Bengals won't have like hardly any money to go spend in free agency again.
Well,
and because of that, everybody's gonna be like, "Why does Mike Brown never sign players?" And it's gonna be because we don't have any money.
You guys. If you don't have any money to spend, but you're one of the top 3 teams in the league and you're competing for a Super Bowl, then that's how it should be.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're really
that's literally how it should be. Like, you would think the people who spend the most money on their cap, because that's how football works. Like, generally, if you're in a rebuilding stage, if you're rebuilding your team or you're trying to get to the next level, you want a lot of salary cap because you want to have a large space of salary cap so you could build young players, develop them, and give them good pay raises to keep them around and possibly bring in a veteran player that's meant to help. If you're a team like the Browns on the other hand, having a salary cap problem is more of a problem than you guys are because you guys are in the playoffs. So if you have a salary cap problem and you got home field advantage in the playoffs, then you're doing something right. You built the right way. That's how you built in sports. Most teams that make the playoffs and make finals have salary cap problem because you should. It keeps a competitive balance. So I get it. So, I mean, like, if Mike Brown don't want to go over the salary cap, then, like, they don't make them cheap. They make them fall in the rules. Sometimes people don't want to go over the salary cap because, taxes, they suck. He is cheap, though.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Like, he gets this reputation for being cheap, and I don't think he's cheap. I think he values things differently than other people value them. But I mean, he does pay money. He does have a lot of outgoing money.
Coming from a Clevelander, yeah, he's cheap. Like, I have a cheap owner, and Mr. Dolan. Mr. Paul Dolan. Mr. Dolan down the street, man. Mr. Dolan, man, he don't even pay for the parking meter because he owns the Guardians. Well, hey, Mr. Dolan, you can pay for the parking meter. Ooh, I want to give you a quarter. I'm the owner of the Guardians. Kind of feel them cheap ass Dolan. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say about the Bengals?
I don't have anything particular. I mean,
I was going to say Ravens, but we'll get to that.
I think the last, obviously the Bengals are in the playoffs, so I mean, like, the path to the Super Bowl is basically step one. I think the path to the Super Bowl was basically step one is going to be getting past the Ravens. And then next week, it's probably going to be getting past the Bills. Although I will mention the stupid Seal earlier said, he's predicting the Dolphins beat the Bills 27-24. And I actually have a feeling, I have this weird feeling that the Dolphins are going to beat the Bills. I'm not sure if I'm picking them yet, but I do have this weird feeling that like the Dolphins are going to somehow pull off the upset. And that would be absolutely insane, but I think it's possible.
It's the fact, what always just bothers me about the Bills is their corner. Like, it just always feels like they just can't stop the pass. Like, at all. Like I talked about it, the importance of winning Super Bowl is having timely stops. I never feel like the Bills are getting timely stops. I just feel like they're just like, oh, we got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Like, I never feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's holes in our secondary. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's my imagination.
Fair. All right. So, let's go ahead and move on to predictions.
Awesome.
All right. Trying to figure out how to. Okay, here we go. All right. So, hey, Majestic YT, what's up, buddy? What's up, buddy?
What's up, Majestic?
Showing up at probably just the right time. But anyway, Thomas, and to everybody, I did not do a very good job of keeping up with predictions this year. I just, I wasn't keeping track during the episode. Then I had to go back and watch the episode, and the numbers got all weird and mixed up. And then we haven't even done an episode in like a month at this point. So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
His name's Thomas, by the way.
Hi.
Thomas, he's a Browns fan. But anyway, so I like pretty much let's just throw the regular season out the window because that didn't work out very well. I think now first of all, I'm pretty sure I won because I was so far ahead. Like I was like
you were winning. You won. I give you this year.
Yeah,
I took year one. You took year 2, year 3 now.
But we also but I won the bet last year though. So
yeah, sure.
I won the bet last year, so I feel like I won last year either way. But anyway, so what we're gonna do, it's something I've been thinking about doing for a while. I'm gonna go ahead and do Thomas, I sent you an email invite. So if you could go ahead and join that.
Which email you sent it to?
Thomas, at your Yahoo.
Got you. Thanks for not saying that on here. Yeah.
So what me and Thomas are going to do to help us keep track of the predictions is I started a pick'em league. And so like just for this playoffs, I think it's going to be just, me and Thomas. And if y'all want to like send me your predictions like during the podcast, I'll put you up on the screen. But I think starting next year, just because I'm doing this on the fly right now, we don't have time to get this all together and everything like that.
I mean, hey, look, if they want live, we can send a link if you want to enter the pick'em league.
I don't know if I could. If I can find a way to send a link to chat, that would be one way. But I'm not trying to get everybody to send their email addresses into chat right now.
Yeah, that probably won't be good. Yeah, and then private information and all this stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to get them to have like some spammer find their email address and send them spam and stuff like that. But let me see if I can find A link.
Maybe you can find a link and tell people you want in the league. Tweet at you or something.
Yeah. So okay.
Like,
so
and then we can message you on Twitter.
I'm gonna put a link into chat. And you might be able to join the league. If you can't, I apologize. But as of right now, that's the best I got. So I'm putting a link in chat, and if you copy that link and you put it into, and you're able to join, go ahead and join. But for right now, it's mainly just to keep track of mine and Thomas's predictions. And if you want to join, and you do join and you do better than us, then we'll shout you out during the podcast. Like, we'll talk about how everybody's doing and everything like that, right? But yeah. I think next year, I'd like to try to get the fantasy league going again. We might have to get new people because this year, like, I think like almost nobody participated. It was like me and I think like one or two other people actually followed through on like keeping up with their teams. We had like one person drop out because like nobody showed up to the draft. So I think we're just in general we're gonna try to like like anybody from the last league who wants to join again. Then great. But I think in general, we're just kind of like restart the whole league and do something entirely new next year. But I think we're also going to do a pick'em league. And it'll be more interactive, and it'll also be a better way for me and Thomas to keep track of our picks. I think we're going to do that for real next year. For now, it's just going to be me and Thomas. And if y'all are able to join, then by all means, go ahead. And we'll just, use that as an experiment. But anyway, did you get into the league, Thomas?
Yeah. I got my pick'em screen all up and ready to go. Right. So when we're ready to start picking, I can start getting.
All right, sounds good. So that means you can keep track of your picks. I don't have to do it for you.
Yeah, I keep track of my picks. You don't have to do it for me. We should do this next year. It's probably a lot easier.
If you don't do money leagues, it's hard to keep people engaged in fantasy. That is fair.
Yeah, bet it is. Bet it is legal in Ohio right now.
Well, it doesn't matter. You could do money leagues anyway because the leagues were like technically based in a different state or something like that. I've been doing money leagues forever now, so we'll see about doing a money league next year. That might be something we look into.
We do it cheap, man. We just do everybody like if we do a pick'em league. Think about it. We do a pick'em league and our podcast gets popular. We could do that. We could do that like a thing. Like like how much money everybody's put down $5. And then say we get like 50 people to put down $5.
Yeah, and then you have a pretty good prize at the end of that. So yeah. That's a good idea, Joe. We might look into that. I will say though, the first year we did fantasy, that was great. Everybody had a great time, and it was a free league, so it worked out fine.
What we gotta do is we gotta promote the hell out of it. We gotta do all kinds of promotions for it. Come join our pick'em league, and the winner, and then say there'll be first place prize and second place prize, and it's only $5 to join. You don't got $5, you don't need to join. That'd be fun. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Majestic is saying it's not letting them join. So maybe not, but like I said, if you want to give me your picks as we're talking about them, I'll put you up on the screen. And next year we'll have the pick'em league really kind of going, and hopefully the fantasy league kind of going, and then we'll have just more stuff to talk about on the podcast. But then again, that also means we'll probably have to be a little more concise when we actually talk about everything, because right now we're almost at an hour and we still got some more stuff to talk about. But anyway, without more logistical talk, let's just go ahead and jump into doing these picks. So we're going to start off with the game at 4:30 that's coming up today. Mm-hmm. The 49ers at the Seahawks. No, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention. The Seahawks at the 49ers. So the first playoff game of 2022 or 2023, technically it is right now, but the 2022 season. So you got Seahawks at 49ers. What you got, Thomas?
What's crazy? Then they say Geno Smith set the passing record for the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with San Francisco. I'm gonna grudgingly go with San Francisco, actually. You can't sleep on Pete Carroll. You can't sleep on Pete Carroll at all. I think it's gonna be a very close game, actually. And on top of that, San Francisco got a quarterback that was drafted last overall. Now, I'm not saying that he's a good quarterback or a bad quarterback because he hasn't been playing that bad, but what's his ceiling? And now we're talking about playoffs. We're talking about more preparation. We're talking about the best of the best. I do not think the San Francisco 49ers could win a Super Bowl with that quarterback at all. So I do think that they could squeak out one against Seattle. So I'm going to take Seattle grudgingly.
Okay. So you're taking Seattle.
Not Seattle, San Francisco.
Okay, I was about to say. Okay, so I guess this pick'em's a lot more complicated. So if you see on there, there's like confidence points, which is basically like ranking the games like 1 to 6, how confident you are in your pick. So out of like you got 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, and 6. How confident are you in that pick?
I'm going with 6.
Okay. All right, so you're the least confident in that game. That's fair. So I'm going to go with the 49ers just because, like, quite frankly, the 49ers are on a 10-game win streak, guys. Like they added Christian McCaffrey, and as the second they did that, the 49ers just went off. Like before they added Christian McCaffrey, they were out there like playing some of the worst football I've ever seen against teams like the Denver Broncos, right? Added Christian McCaffrey and like what the hell is even happening right now? Like quite frankly, I think the 49ers are probably the best team in the NFC, even though the Eagles got the number 1 seed. And it's just because the Eagles got out to a hotter start this year. The 49ers actually got out to a kind of a not so good start this year. So it's kind of incredible. Like thinking about the team they are right now, considering the start they got, it's kind of like the Bengals. Considering the start the Bengals got, that's how insane it is that they're doing as well as they are right now. So it's the same thing with the 49ers. The Seahawks, on the other hand, just played like shit against the Rams. And, I just don't have a whole – like Geno Smith is an incredible story. I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in Geno and in the Seahawks as a whole right now. Basically what they need is they're going to need a huge game from Kenneth Walker. They're going to need to get up on the 49ers, and they're going to need to stay up on the 49ers. Like the 49ers are not built to come back from games. But if they can get on top of you, then you're done. So if the Seahawks can get off to a hot start, then they got a chance, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to pick the 49ers. I'm a lot more confident in this than you are, Thomas. So I'm going to give it a 12 in terms of confidence points.
Can I change my confidence point meter as we go along? Because I'm looking at some of these other games.
Oh yeah, sure. You're not locked in until you hit save picks at the bottom.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Majestic says tandem thought, but is Aaron Donald overrated? I can tell you personally from personal experience, Aaron Donald is not overrated. He might be like he might have like taken the year off this year. Like he might not be the same player this year as he was last year. The Rams clearly had a major Super Bowl hangover, but Aaron Donald's not overrated. He's the best. He's probably the best defensive player in NFL history. He wasn't this year, but just because he was this year, you can maybe make the argument that this year he was overrated. But I don't think he put everything into it this year,
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep. At the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is awesome that the Jaguars are hosting a playoff game. But anyway, what you got?
By the way, I said on the first episode of the season that the Jaguars are going to win the division. So.
Well, the Jaguars got off to a good start this year, and then they kind of fell off in the middle of the year, and then the Titans just completely collapsed, so the Jaguars had a chance to come back. But,
I think that the Chargers, talent-wise, are a better team. But I think mentally, the Jaguars are a better team. So, with that said, I'm actually going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence has been coming along nicely. I'm going to put my confidence meter on this one at a 10 because I'm pretty confident about it. I'm just not fully confident about it, but I'm pretty sure. I don't see the Chargers coming to Jacksonville, traveling that far, and beating the Jaguars. I just don't see it at all. I think the Jaguars got it.
That's fair. I am also going to take the Jaguars just because I think I don't believe in any way, shape, and form in the Los Angeles Chargers. And the reason I don't believe in them is because Justin Herbert is like, people act like Justin Herbert's a top like two quarterback in the NFL. And the fact of the matter is he's not. Like, he's Phillip Rivers. That's basically what Justin Herbert is. He's a more athletic Phillip Rivers. In terms of like clutchness and everything like that. So like, and that plus Brandon Staley, as much as I thought Brandon Staley was going to be like the next Bill Belichick, I thought he was going to be an amazing coach for whoever picked him up. He's really just kind of turned into like an idiot, you know, like, I mean, he makes stupid decisions all the time. I think it's hubris. I think it's ego. I don't think he's actually like fundamentally not good at like coaching football, but I think I think he thinks he's got all the answers and like, he just doesn't want to like learn from his mistakes. He's like if Zach Taylor hadn't learned. That would be what Brandon Staley is right now. Like Zach Taylor was kind of on a trajectory of like being kind of like, you know, like a mid-tier to maybe not so great coach. But the problem is he has no ego. So he was like, okay, I'm going to learn from my mistakes and I'm going to build upon that and become a better coach. Brandon Staley is basically if that had not happened. Doug Peterson, however, I'm shocked that Doug Peterson is amazing of the coach as he is. But he coached Nick Foles to go win a Super Bowl, and then he took, you know, a team that was completely obliterated by Urban Meyer, and he's given him a division championship. So
yeah,
I got to give all the respect in the world to Doug Peterson as a coach. And Trevor Lawrence is no longer looking like a bust; he's actually looking like, you know, a franchise quarterback for them now. The Jaguars are still the Jaguars, man. I've seen them like, you know, like really just like look like they're gonna screw it up and then just like kind of pull victory from the jaws of defeat a few times. So I'm not really that confident in the Jaguars either, but I do think they win this game because I think, you know, having the home field advantage, I think they've got a lot more momentum than the Chargers, and the Chargers just lost Mike Williams due to a, you know, stupid decision to play him in Week 18. So yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars. I'm not super confident in it because I think this is going to be a really good. This might be the best, like the most watchable game of the like the most interesting. Like, you know, like you don't know what's going to happen at any point during the game of the entire wild card round. I think this is going to be, you know, interesting to see. I think the Jaguars are going to pull it out. I'm not super confident that they're going to, though, which is part of why, like, I'm actually, by the way, for those of you who are watching right now, I'm probably going to stream this game tonight because I'm fascinated with with this.
It's going to be a game. It's going to be a game.
My confidence level, I think, is about an 8. Like,
okay. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm not super confident in the outcome of this game, but it's like there's another game that I'm going to make a pick. And I have virtually no confidence in my pick. I just, you know, but so I'm more confident than that. But I'm taking the Jaguars. I think they're going to pull it off. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers did. So
I got an upset in here. I got a big upset in here.
All right. So next up is the Dolphins traveling to Buffalo to play the Bills.
Do you want to go first? You're going to go first.
You can go first.
I'm going with Buffalo. As much as I hear a lot of people saying that they think that Miami going to upset Buffalo, I still think Buffalo can beat Miami. I just don't think Miami is all they're cracked up to be. That have backup quarterback and Tua. They got to go to Buffalo, play against Josh Allen. Not only I think it's going to Buffalo going to win. I'm going to put my confidence meter at 14 because it's the second most confident game I have on my list.
All right. So Yahoo doesn't really have a way of Yahoo doesn't really have a way of accounting for this. So I think we're going to have to move away from like, you know, big upset of the week, like points and stuff like that, but we can still do it just for fun.
Yeah.
So I am taking Miami on the upset. Now I believe it was, what was it? The stupid seal earlier, like before we even got anywhere near this discussion, the stupid seal mentioned that he thought the Dolphins were going to beat the Bills. And nobody else in chat agrees with me, by the way. And you don't either, Thomas. And it's fair. It's fair. This is, I've got this feeling deep inside my brain that it's just like, I don't know why. I just think the Dolphins are going to pull it off. And what is my confidence level in that? The very bottom of the barrel. I have no confidence in this whatsoever. I will give it 6 confidence points because I don't believe in this pick at all. but I just got a feeling, and I'm going to go with my gut. So I'm taking the Dolphins.
The New York Giants travel to Minnesota.
Joe says Miami starting Joe Fabitz at quarterback.
The New York Giants travel to Minnesota to play the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting game. Mm-hmm. What do you think? This is actually very interesting to me.
I'll go first. Minnesota played the Giants earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they beat them 27-24.
Yeah, it was really close. But the Giants were playing really well at that time, and that was one of those games where you're like, oh well, Minnesota. I wonder maybe they might be, for real. Maybe this constant up and down with them is maybe there's something to it. I don't know, but I'm not super confident in anything with the Vikings.
Me neither.
But I do think they're going to beat the Giants because the Giants are just so injured. And the Vikings got a home game and everything like that. The only thing is I think Brian Daboll is probably coach of the year. And Kevin O'Connell, I think quite frankly, Kevin O'Connell is probably in that discussion. So they both got really good coaches. I think Minnesota's got more talent. Especially because the Giants are just so injured. So I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm going to give it my lowest remaining confidence points, which is 10, because I'm not super confident in the Vikings, but I do think they'll beat the Giants.
I just don't think the NFC is that good. So I don't think the Giants would have made the playoffs.
Joe said the Vikings are the worst 13-4 team in NFL history. That's not exactly a wide pool, Joe.
But they are. But I don't think the Giants would have made the playoffs if they were in the NFC. I think the Giants were in the AFC. I don't think they would make the playoffs.
No, I don't think so.
With that said, I think the Minnesota Vikings would have made the playoffs. And they got a home field advantage. So basically what I'm saying is I think you got a playoff team on this team that I think that just barely would miss the playoffs. So give me the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm going to put my confidence meter at I'm going to put it at 10. I'm very confident about the other two picks. Okay. I'm very confident about the other two picks. Okay.
I am also very confident about the other two picks. So next one that we're going to is my Cincinnati Bengals playing in prime time on Sunday Night Football, hosting the Baltimore Ravens for the second week in a row, and also without Lamar Jackson, which by the way, I was really kind of looking forward to having that discussion on the state of the AFC North. I just don't know if we're going to have time for it. But I'll just go ahead and say right now, since we're on the topic, Lamar Jackson is done in Baltimore, just straight up done. He had to go to Twitter to tell people, guys, I got a PCL sprain, quit. Like he had Sammy Watkins in an interview, basically questioning whether Lamar Jackson still cares about this team or not. And I mean, he said he wasn't questioning that, but you read between the lines. You can tell Sammy Watkins and the whole Ravens locker room is why is Lamar Jackson not playing for us? We're basically screwed. We don't have, the former MVP playing. We got Tyler Huntley. And by the way, Tyler Huntley is going to be going into this game with a bum shoulder, and he's expected to play. Mm-hmm. So, I think the Bengals are going to run right the hell through them. Ravens' last playoff game for 5 years, yeah. Get blown out by 20 minimum. I don't know if the Bengals are going to blow them out just because the Ravens do still have a really solid defense. And from a defensive perspective, the Ravens held the Bengals to 17 points when they played, when the Bengals played all their starters, when both teams were playing all their starters. Now, that was also a completely different Joe Burrow. That was him still sort of recovering from the appendectomy, getting into a rhythm and stuff like that. But at the same time, I do think it's going to be a bit of a lower scoring game. And I think it'll be a decisive win for the Bengals, but I think it'll be more similar to what we saw last week. I think it's going to be like the Bengals are going to win by like 10 or something like that, right? But I am about as confident as you can be in that the Bengals are going to win this game. So I'm going to give this my maximum number of confidence points in 16 in taking the Bengals. Yeah. It's, Joe says bet all your money on the Bengals and the over. And I would take the under. I would bet all your money on the Bengals, but I would take the under personally.
I'm going to Bengals too. I just, we just talked about why I think the Bengals win the Super Bowl. I don't think the Ravens are. I don't think the Ravens are. I don't think the Ravens have a prayer. You suck, Baltimore. You suck, Baltimore.
They really do.
Like, I'm so mad at y'all. Like, y'all talking about teams that don't belong in the playoffs. Like, how? How did y'all manage to win 10 games with that? How did they win 10 games? Like, really, how did Baltimore win 10 games?
How did Pittsburgh win 11 games a couple of years ago? That's how the Ravens won.
I'm like very confused by this. Like, they literally went limping into the playoffs. They've been going limping into the playoffs the last 4 years. Anyway, Cincinnati is going to blow them out. And I actually switched around my Buffalo Miami thing to a 12 because I'm making this a 14 because this is my second most confident pick. It's Cincinnati beating Baltimore.
That's fair. So you're pretty confident in the next one, I suppose.
I'm very confident in the next one.
James Bowenkamp says Bengals by 9, and that's about what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Bengals are going to win, but it's not going to be like a huge, like massive offensive performance. It's going to be a lot like we saw last week. I think we're going to get like a nearly identical game that we saw last week. Bengals going to win. They're going to win decisively, but it's not going to be a blowout. But anyway, moving on to the last game, and then we actually got a couple tiebreakers we have to talk about in this Pick'em League. So we're not done yet. But anyway, Dallas, Tampa Bay. Now, Thomas, because you're so confident in your pick, I'm going to let you go second. Save the best for last. I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win this game. For one reason alone, because Tom Brady is just he's an alien, and that doesn't mean he's good. That means he doesn't make any sense. I will never bet against Tom Brady. Like in big time situations like this, I will never bet against Tom Brady because it's stupid to do so. Now, would I be shocked if the Cowboys win? No, because the Cowboys are probably the better team than the Buccaneers right now. The Buccaneers have a ton of injuries. Tom Brady isn't playing his best. Like, logically, the Cowboys should win this game. But I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because there's just something about Tom Brady, and there's something about Mike McCarthy. I don't trust Mike McCarthy, and I don't trust Tom Brady to lose. So I actually think this works out perfectly. I'm giving this a 14 on my confidence points because it actually works out. I am nearly super confident that Tom Brady's going to pull it off, but I also do think Dallas is the better team. So I'm not as confident as I am in the Bengals winning, right? So go ahead, make your pick.
Well, Kyle, I just can't believe you underestimate the Cowboys, though. I mean, the Cowboys got Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott and CeeDee Lamb, who's having this amazing season out of nowhere. The Cowboys' offense has been humming like a piston car made in 1946, fresh out of Motown, the city. The Cowboys have everything going their way. The Cowboys are finally back to get their ass kicked by Tom Brady. Yo, I am so confident that the Cowboys are about to lose this fucking game. I am so confident that the Cowboys are going to, wait, hold on, I'll put it on 16. Let me tell you why, Kyle. I am so confident. Well, as you know, betting has become legal in Ohio. Betting has become legal in Ohio. Betting has become very legal in Ohio. It like they say, betting hit Ohio like a certain drug hit New York in the 80s. Betting is crazy legal in Ohio. So I got $200 of free bets with FanDuel. I'm on a immaculate street. And I think, you know what I'm going to do, Kyle? You know what I did, Kyle? Very stupidly of me. I did a parlay with the Dallas Cowboys last week.
Right.
I was like, all right, well, Dak Prescott is definitely going to have over 180 yards. He's got a passing machine. Ezekiel Elliott's definitely going to have over 40 yards. That's easy. He's fucking Ezekiel Elliott. CeeDee Lamb, of course, he's going to catch a touchdown. Well, if CeeDee Lamb caught a touchdown, other than that, they suck, Cal. They freaking suck. They
Micah Parsons
suck. Dude, I could have won $255. In fact, I just put an extra 104. I could have won an extra 140 on Dak Prescott. I lost. Why? Because you suck, Dak. You suck, Mike McCarthy. You suck, Ezekiel Elliott. You suck, CeeDee Lamb. You suck, Dallas. Damn. I'm so mad about that.
Dude,
mad about that.
What if Lamar Jackson and Majestic? I'm gonna give you a little bit of like recourse here because I know I've kind of been mostly accidentally been shitting on your team all year. But listen. What if Lamar Jackson ends up in Dallas next year?
Oh, that's interesting.
Something.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Cowboys.
That's interesting.
Get Lamar Jackson
because I don't think Dak Prescott's it. I used to, but he's not. Who would they compare him? Somebody told me that they think Dak Prescott's the black Kirk Cousins.
I've heard that comparison before, yeah.
And I'm starting to see it. Yeah, throws for a lot of yards, but can't throw touchdowns in clutch situations. I mean, he looks pretty attractive as a woman, but so does Tom Brady. And I just think Tom Brady's going to whoop that ass. I'm 16 confidence in it. Tom Brady's going to whoop that ass. Give me.
All right. So we got some tiebreakers now. This is something we're adding to the predictions segment because we just didn't have access to this before. So tiebreaker, if we both happen to like end up with a tie score, this will most likely be the determining factor. So what do you think the final score will be for Dallas and Tampa Bay, Thomas?
I want to go Tampa Bay 42, Dallas 7. Fuck you, Dallas. Don't take nobody to that personal. Dallas is actually a very fun time. I had a very fun time seeing that stadium. That music park, great time. I love that place. They're awesome.
All right, so I'm very much thinking differently than that. I am taking Tampa Bay, but I'm going 17-13. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive type of game. I think Dak's going to throw a lot of interceptions, and I think Tom Brady's going to go 3 and out a lot. And it's going to be at the very end. It's going to be at the very end. Tom Brady's going to get that. It's going to be like 13-10. Dallas is winning near the end, and then Tom Brady goes on like a game-winning drive at the end.
Yeah. So fuck you, Dallas, and fuck you, Skip Bayless.
Right.
Yeah, but that's what I think is going to happen too. I'm just mad I lost all that money last week. Well, it wasn't my money. Actually, it was free money from FanDuel, but still, it was so much money.
All right. So Baltimore, Cincinnati. What do you think the final score of that's going to be?
I'm going to go 38 Cincinnati, 10 Baltimore. That's a weird score, but yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna say 24-14. I think the Bengals are gonna win 24-14.
How the Ravens gonna score though?
They scored on us with Anthony Brown. What are you talking about? The way they're going to score, Thomas, is the Bengals are going to decisively beat them throughout the game, and it's going to be like 24-7 at some point in the fourth quarter. And the Bengals defense is going to, they're going to let them like march. They're going to do that thing they always do. They're going to let them march down the field and eat some clock. And if you score a touchdown, whatever, just as long as you eat the clock. And that's what Lou Anarumo does. He doesn't care about his defense having whatever stats and whatever. He doesn't care if he's like top 10 defense in terms of yards and stats and whatever, and even points. All he cares about is winning the game. So if he feels like he can, if he feels like he can he's going to let you trade a touchdown for like 10 minutes off of the clock. He'll do that. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Bengals are going to decisively win this game, and then the Ravens are going to get some garbage time points at the end to make it look close.
Yeah, I can see it happening. I can see it happening, actually. They are the Guardians.
So the secondary tiebreakers. What team of all the teams we listed will score the most points this week?
I'm going to go with the Bengals. Even though you said that you think you're going to keep close, I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Even though you said Tampa Bay is winning with 42 points?
Yeah, you're right. You said Dallas. I'm going with that. Give me a lot of points for Tampa Bay, even though that's not realistic. I'm trying to be realistic. I literally just said that because I was just mad about my whole losing money thing. But you know what? I'm going with the Bengals because I still got it because I'm still like worried about this. 49ers. You know what, Jeff? You got a point. I'm going to 49ers.
Well, damn. Because I'm going with the 49ers. I'm pretty confident that the 49ers are going to beat the Seahawks. Not like, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think it's going to happen. And I think they're going to like just drop a ton of points on them, right? I think that one's going to be a high scoring game. Now, it might not be. It might be a total blowout because San Francisco defense is good. But I think it's going to be a high scoring game between the 49ers and the Seahawks. So, all right, who's going to score the least points this week?
I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Dolphins?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no, I lied. I'm going with the Ravens. I'm definitely going with the Ravens. I think it's a no-brainer because I just don't. It's in there. It's set. We did it.
Right. I'm kind of torn right now. I think either the Chargers or the Cowboys are going to score the least points. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. So, I'm really not confident in the Chargers at all, but I said, I think the Cowboys are going to lose, and I think it's going to be an offensive problem, right? It's going to be they can't put points on the board type of problem. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys being the least team. So go ahead and save your picks, Thomas.
All right, I already saved them. They're all saved. They're in there. They're ready to go.
Sounds good. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. We'll hopefully we'll be back for as long as like the fates determine that we can do this. Hopefully we'll be back next week to talk about what happened and make our picks going forward and everything like that. And I think we're gonna go ahead, like, just because we've had so much trouble. If you're okay with this, Thomas, I think let's go ahead and just say because we do this during the off season anyway, especially because you don't really have a lot of Brown stuff going on. Let's go ahead and just start like in the off season we always go back to one episode a week. I think let's go ahead and do that now.
All right, let's do it.
Just because we've had trouble committing. We haven't done an episode in like a month anyway, so even getting to one episode a week might be difficult. But I think we're just going to go ahead and say we're going to try to do one episode a week going forward throughout the playoffs and definitely throughout the offseason. Then hopefully next year, as long as things are in a better spot and everything like that, we can go back to 2 episodes during the NFL season. We'll see what happens.
We got some big stuff coming up because we got the Browns going to hire their defensive coordinator. I got a feeling the Browns are going to make a big trade this offseason, so we just stay on guard for that.
Let's go.
I got a feeling they're going to make a big trade this year.
I think I agree with Majestic here. He says if the Lions were in the playoffs, they would have scored 50 and still lost the game. It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I probably my tiebreaker for most points would have been whoever was playing the Lions.
I was hoping for the Lions too.
I was hoping for them too, but the Rams just couldn't get it done against the Seahawks, and the Lions, they lost too many games this year, man. They got. I think Dan Campbell showed that he's a really good coach. And they got something to build on, but it wasn't meant to be this year. And it sucks, but it is what it is.
I'd be fine next year.
But anyway, y'all. Well, you know what? Let's do let's very briefly do like a real quick state of the AFC North. We already talked about like where like just real quick. We don't have to super go in depth and analyze this, but where do you think Lamar Jackson's going this in the offseason, Thomas?
I have no idea, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be Baltimore.
No, he's that bridge looks burned right now.
I said originally the Giants made a lot of sense, and the Giants make even more sense right now. I do think the Giants make a lot of sense. I think the Giants make more sense than the Jets, honestly. For multiple reasons. I think the Giants are more. I think he could take the Giants farther than he could the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the Giants make a lot of sense still. You said Dallas. That's interesting.
Yeah, but my actual assumption, I think it'll be the Jets. I think the Jets are going to go get him because quite frankly, I think the Jets are a Lamar Jackson away from being a great team.
Yeah, very possible. I think you look good. I think you look good in the Jets. I think you look better with the Giants, though, personally.
All right, and then the Steelers. Let us all laugh at the Steelers for not making the playoffs. But then, can I just say I am sick and fucking tired of this Mike Tomlin always winning, like always having a winning team narrative. Like,
yeah,
in a way, it almost kind of worked out like perfectly, because like the Steelers didn't make the playoffs and they still won, enough games to like keep their draft pick relatively low. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted. I just wanted it to be more like 7 wins, not 9. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm disappointed the Browns couldn't beat the Steelers last week. Pretty pissed off about that. The Browns.
I'm so disappointed in you guys.
I'm actually really mad the Browns didn't beat Steelers last week.
They should.
That actually really frustrates me.
Yep.
No, well, what you gonna do?
Anyway, guys, that's we just breezed right through the state of the AFC North because we're already about an hour and a half in, and people are watching. It's easy to get caught up when you got this much interaction. So I appreciate all y'all who showed up. We had I think 8 different people commenting today. So I mean that's fun and enjoyable. I appreciate you, Joe, Majestic, James. Stupid Seal was in earlier. I mean, I know there are a few other people, but I appreciate all of y'all for showing up. It's definitely more fun to do this podcast. We did this podcast for years when literally it was like talking into a void, right? Like
it was literally talking into a void.
There was nobody was watching. It was basically me and Thomas just talking and recording it and throwing it up on YouTube. And every couple of months we got a comment. I think it was terrible, but I appreciate y'all for showing up. We're going to try to get back to it, doing it a little bit more consistently. Like I said, I think I'm going to try for every week going forward. Maybe we can get back to twice a week next season. But we'll see. It really kind of depends on how everything goes. But that's pretty much it. Y'all can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/thephelps. ATBnetwork.com, but Fumble Sports, and my YouTube channel, which is Kyle Phelps, which most of y'all know, but for the couple of y'all who don't follow me, go follow me there. And then Thomas, you can catch him at T_star94 on Twitter and
_94.
Yeah, at Twitter and Instagram, and then he's the Thomas J Network on YouTube and TikTok. So you want to go follow him there. And James says go Bengals and Browns. That's interesting.
Oh, thank you, James.
You're a Bengals and Browns fan. That's cool.
I mean, much like Ohio.
Not me, but you love Ohio, and that's pretty cool. But hey, you can catch him on all that stuff, and go support him. He puts out music. He used to put out other content too, but lately he's just been focused on the music, which is good music,
I've been trying to do a lot of stuff. It's just that
Yeah. Obviously, as y'all can tell, he's been having quite a bit of trouble lately. So, bear with him. But, we are here and we're going to be here. Fuck off, Majestic. I'm trying to get out of Ohio personally. What is it? What's his name? Sir Yacht's always been Cincinnati's in Kentucky. And I'm just I kind of like Kentucky better than Ohio, honestly. I take it as a compliment personally. But anyway, that's all I got. That's all I got for this week, y'all. That's all the time I've got. We will see you hopefully next week, and we'll recap the predictions and if the hopefully the Bengals are. God, please let the Bengals still be in it, because like if they lose to the Ravens, I'm going to be so fucking pissed. But I don't think they will. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next week, and I'll leave y'all as always with a hootie.
Go Browns.
I ain't got nothing to go.